First from the showcase here at SwissWatchExpo, the Omega Aqua Terra has a ton of complications available for it, and today we are talking about a Worldtimer. If you know Omega, then by now you surely know of the Aqua Terra, sort of their dressy slash sporty slash dive watch slash boating watch type of line. I say that to say there are a ton of varieties in the Aqua Terra, but there are a few things that make all of them consistent in terms of their design and their aesthetics, but there are a ton of complications available within them. This is where we see Omega experiment with annual calendars and a ton of other things, in addition to your standard day and dates, as well as chronographs, etc. One of the most unique ones I've found is one that has just arrived here at SwissWatchExpo. This is a beautiful Worldtimer example of the Aqua Terra. The Worldtimer is a complication you may be familiar with some other more austere and prestigious brands like your Vacherons and your Patek Philippe's and whatnot. But this is a much more affordable type of entry into that type of complication. This is one that not only shows a singular extra time zone like a GMT does, but rather shows you all time zones at once, which is what makes a Worldtimer so unique. What makes them so impressive, and even more impressive, is the price that you're going to be able to get this incredible Aqua Terra at. So let's go ahead and check it out. The first thing you'll notice is that while many of the one thing that unites all Worldtimers is that you have to have the name of all the different cities where the time zones are represented on the dial, this one has an actual map of the entire planet Earth, every continent right here, right there in the middle of the dial. It is a beautiful finish. It sort of has, I would say, sort of a grainy texture where the ocean is, and almost like a meteorite type of texture for what represents the landmass on planet Earth. And what I think is most interesting of all is that the way it is laid out with sort of a straight downward view from the very North Pole, you're actually able to see all of the cities that are around the edge of the dial line up with their approximate position on this globe here. And when you consider just how tiny this globe is here in the center of this dial, and the fact that all the cities that I am able to see on the outside do appear to match with their corresponding positions on this globe, it's very impressive that they were able to lay it out. And it's still a relatively minimal use of space, all things considered, because this is a dial that, like all Worldtimers, has a lot of information that it's trying to give you at once. It's a beautiful watch, though, and it isn't particularly hard to read. Some even much more expensive and prestigious brands make Worldtimers that are really great for seeing the names of a bunch of cities on it, not so great for being able to determine the time on the fly. Not a problem you're going to have with this. You've got large triangular hands, as well as this broad arrow minute hand, as well as a very bright loom on all three hands, including the second hand, as well as every point around here on the edge of the dial as well. You actually do have luminous markers for every position, even at 6 o'clock where there's a date right here, and I find that to be absolutely fascinating. Another thing that I think is really interesting, and something that I think only Omega could get away with. If you're familiar with Worldtimer watches, there's certain cities that you'll expect to see that represent certain time zones. New York City being one of them. I think Moscow was pretty unique in terms of its position on the globe as far as time zones are concerned. But there's one city that is mysteriously missing, and that is Paris. Every single other Worldtimer watch I have ever seen has Paris indicated on the dial. Whereas Omega, you'll see here, I believe between, where is it? Oh yeah, it is between 5 o'clock and 6. They've actually replaced Paris with Bienne, the location of the Omega factory and where the brand was founded. I think that is an incredibly little cheeky addition they made, where they replaced a much more prestigious city on the map with a very, very small town that no one who's not familiar with the brand Omega has heard of. It's just this tiny town in Switzerland with not much else to my knowledge. But it is able to share its space with some much more prestigious and famous cities around the globe, you know, such as your New Yorks, your Chicagos, your Rio de Janeiros, as well as some of the more obscure ones like the Azores Islands and I think Samoa, which like only occupy that one particular latitude mark on the map. But that's what makes Worldtimer watches so great, and that you're able to just at a glance see what time it is everywhere all at once. But of course, that's just Worldtimers in general. What makes this a unique Aqua Terra is going to be, again, some design choices that are consistent across the entire brand. You're going to have a high polished bezel here. No rotating bezel at all. This is all contained here within the dial. You do have the high polished center link, which all modern Aqua Terras are going to have, as well as a beautiful exhibition case back displaying this movement. I mean, Omega doesn't make ugly movements at all, which is why I think all Aqua Terras now are going to come with this exhibition case back. I mean, if you got it, you might as well show it off, and Omega completely agrees with that. This is a caliber 89-38, which I think is exclusive to this watch because I don't believe Omega is making any other Worldtimer models at this time. I may be mistaken though. I do love how we do have the high polished center link on the outer, but it's actually all brushed on the inner, which I think is a really neat sort of choice that they've made here. And I really, really just love the exhibition caseback. This is a particularly unique movement. And if you look at a ton of Omega casebacks like I do, then you've probably, you know, a lot of them start to look the same, but this is definitely a very unique movement in their line. And it's a very unique watch, so that shouldn't surprise anyone at all. We've got more expensive Worldtimers. We've also got Omegas for people who may only need to see 1 or 2 time zones at once. But this is a very impressive and a very unique addition to Omega line, and you can bring this watch home today if you give us a call at SwissWatchExpo.com. Like and subscribe to our channel if you haven't yet. I say that every time. I'm never going to stop saying it because some of you are just clicking on this channel without subscribing. I know who you are. Don't do it anymore. Find out what we're dropping every week and subscribe to this channel. Hit the bell and you'll get notifications too, so you won't miss out on a single watch.